When it comes to the US ad mobile market, everyone's heard of Millennial, Quattro, AdMob, but outside of the US, another company reigns supreme, and that's InMobi. Joining us today is our CEO and founder, Naveen Tiwari. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So give us an idea of how big your company is, where you guys play outside of the United States.
Yeah, so we are in about 108 countries outside of US. We do about close to 17 billion ads. We did close to 17 billion ads in the month of May. We reached to about 180 million people across the world. We are about 140 people scattered across 7 offices in the world.
Mainly in India, though?
A lot of our product and engineering is in India, but then with every market there are tons of nuances, and so we kind of get into every market and build our presence in those markets, and that's why we are in about 7 markets now.
Now, many of the largest mobile ad companies started in the United States. You went a very different direction. Why was that? When you started this company, you looked at the market and you thought, US is not the way to go.
Yeah, we started off in India for a very different set of reasons. But once we looked at moving outside of India, we basically said, we have 2 options: one, to get into US or not. And we looked into US. The competitive landscape was pretty fierce. The market was tanking. And we decided that instead of essentially going after the over-competitive space, we'll go after the rest of the market and kind of take that market, build our product expertise, and then come into US a little later. So, in that time frame, a lot of the market has stabilized in the landscape, and we are now coming into the market with a very supreme product, and we're getting great responses. So without even really launching ourselves with a soft launch, we reached about 2 billion impressions, and so that's how we're looking at this.
The rate of growth has been fast around the world, not just in the US. In January, the company served 7.5 billion ad impressions. In May, that more than doubled to nearly 17 billion, with 2 billion in North America, 1.6 billion in Europe, 10 billion in Asia, 2.3 billion in Africa, and 800 million in the Middle East and other. The revenue run rate has roughly doubled year over year to 35 million, a number that should continue to rise as smartphones, especially the iPhone, gain ground abroad.
I remember about 6 to 8 months ago, the market share of iPhone users or inventory outside of US was about 10 to 20%, but today it's anywhere between 40 to 50%. So you have half the volume coming outside of US, which is a change in the market landscape in a very short period of time.
When you're looking across all your different markets and you're looking at Asia and Africa and trying to understand user patterns, right? What are some of the most key trends that you notice in terms of how these certain countries are using ads differently than other countries, how they're interacting with these ads?
A lot of the post-click engagement on the ads in some of the Asian market, leads through SMS, and that's not necessarily true in US or in developed markets. A lot of the payments that happen on a post-click ad and that gets through a conversion, etc., happens using operator billing, whereas here it happens through credit cards or PayPal, and those are like significant nuances to how the consumer is interacting with the ad and using the medium to do the consumption, and those are the differences that we have to keep in mind as we get into each of these markets. Like countries in Africa basically use M-Pesa, which is a very different currency of usage as against what you have in Western markets or operator billing, which is in Asian markets.
And key to your company's research is, of course, trying to understand the rate of growth when it comes to mobile phones, right? So when you're trying to understand where you could be today versus what the market could be next 5, 10 years or so, where do you see mobile phone usage? Will it eclipse laptop usage and other types of portable devices?
Yeah, so then we kind of, when we look at that, we kind of break the market into into developed markets and developing markets. So just to step back, if you look at the total mobile internet phones that will be there in the world in the next 4 to 5 years, we're looking at somewhere around 5 billion phones, 5 billion people using mobile internet from their phones. A lot of that users will be in Asian countries, in the developing markets, in Asia and Africa, and as some of these great mobile devices and high internet connections or 3G connections get into those markets, you'll see a very different level of usage by that community of users because they don't have the current set of the PC penetration is very low. So you'll have a very different level of usage in those markets. So it's not about eclipsing or kind of cannibalizing the PC usage because PC usage doesn't exist. And then you look at some of the developed markets where the iPhones and similar Android platform phones will essentially go and start to eat into a lot of the PC usage, and that has happened in Japan.
If 5 billion people are using these mobile devices in the next few years or X number of years, right? If you're a $75 million revenue run rate company today, or will be by the end of this year, does that mean you grow by a magnitude of 5, 6, 7?
Well, it's hard to predict because the landscape is changing very fast. We certainly, if you are a company which is reaching to a portion of the 5 billion handsets, you will be a large company.